Welcome to our comparison of Keynesian and supply-side frameworks, where the scales of policy tilt between demand stimulation and production incentives. This opening visual sets the stage. On one side, demand-driven growth and fiscal intervention. On the other, production-centric reform, tax cuts and investment incentives. Over the next slides, we will unpack how each approach explains growth and guides policy choices. This slide focuses on aggregate demand as the Keynesian engine that determines output and employment, showing how consumption and investment can fall short and create output gaps. The diagram highlights government intervention through spending or tax cuts to close those gaps, relying on sticky wages and the multiplier effect to turn initial stimulus into larger income gains and avoid prolonged slumps. Here we trace the fiscal multiplier mechanism and its policy implications, illustrating how deficit finance spending circulates through households and firms to generate further income when resources are idle. The chart reminds us that effectiveness depends on openness, monetary offsets, and spare capacity, and that empirical multiplier estimates vary, so policymakers must calibrate fiscal packages to reach desired output targets without overreaching. This page explains automatic stabilizers as built-in tools that smooth business cycles without new legislation, using unemployment insurance and progressive taxes as examples. During downturns, these mechanisms support disposable income and swell deficits to sustain demand, while in expansions they moderate income and shrink deficits, providing timely, counter-cyclical relief with minimal policy lag and lower political friction. Shifting to supply-side foundations, the focus moves to productive capacity, tax incentives, and long-run output. The slide revives the idea that production creates demand, urging policies that prioritize capacity over consumption, boost investment and innovation, and reduce barriers to production, so that working, saving and innovation translate into sustainable long-run output growth, rather than just short-term demand boosts. This slide lays out supply-side mechanics around tax policy and investment incentives, showing how cuts to marginal rates and accelerated depreciation raise after-tax returns and stimulate entrepreneurship, capital formation, and risk-taking. The central graphic of the Laffer curve reminds us that revenue dynamics are non-linear. Tax cuts can sometimes expand receipts through growth, but outcomes depend on the starting point and broader economic responses. We contrast timing and political economy trade-offs between immediate demand closure and long-term supply reforms, highlighting the timing mismatch policymakers face. Keynesian tools aim for quick output stabilization over quarters, while supply-side reforms target structural capacity and trend growth over years, creating a political hurdle where short-term needs and long-term payoffs must be sequenced sensibly to build durable support. This slide examines deficits, interest rates, and savings through two lenses. The Keynesian crowding out concern that large deficits raise rates and absorb private savings, and the supply-side claim that tax cuts can self-finance via faster growth. The center panel notes empirical ambiguity, especially flight to quality episodes, so market perceptions and global conditions shape whether deficits raise yields or prompt safe asset demand. Turning to a real-world example, the 2009 ARA case study shows an $800 billion package aimed at stimulating demand during the crisis, with CBO estimating peak unemployment reduction around 1.5 percentage points. The slide highlights contested outcomes. Supporters argue it prevented a deeper slump, while critics point to slow recovery and long-term debt trade-offs, illustrating the practical tensions around stimulus sizing and timing. The ERTA 1981 slide presents a live test of supply-side taxes with a large cut in the top marginal rate from 70 to 50%, which coincided with rising private investment but also ballooning deficits. The graphic underscores the mixed legacy, some growth and debated productivity gains, alongside revenue shortfalls and renewed concerns about inequality and fiscal sustainability. This page proposes a modern economic synthesis that combines automatic stabilizers for recession response, targeted R&D and infrastructure for long-term growth, and evidence-based calibration to balance objectives. The framework emphasizes counter-cyclical support today, while investing in supply-side capacity, using data-driven policy decisions and continuous impact assessment to adaptively manage trade-offs across horizons. In conclusion, an effective macro strategy sequences short-run demand support with long-run capacity building, assessing cycle conditions, and fiscal space to tailor interventions. The final visual argues for pragmatic synthesis. Use Keynesian tools to close immediate output gaps, deploy supply-side reforms to expand productive potential, and rely on evidence-based calibration to optimize outcomes over time.